dance for joy or lust or anger in every time.
Welcome to Sensible Secondhand Classics, the show where we look at cars that are over 15 years old. You can buy for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. This is a 1990 Fiat Tempra 1.8 SX, and it's extremely rare, but rather nice. So the Fiat Tempra was a saloon version of the Fiat Tipo, and by the Tipo I mean the original Tipo from 1988. This is actually on a platform called the Type 3 that's closely related to the Tipo or Type 2 platform, although it's a bit longer. So cars like the Lancia Dedra, the Alpha 155, they use this, whereas the Type 2 platform was used by cars with a shorter wheelbase, like the Alpha 145 and 146 and the Fiat Coupe. The car had a number of engines, and you know, in South America they were all different and things like that. In this country, the base engine was a 1.4 with 78 horsepower. That was on a carb. Then there were some 1.6s. Now, depending on whether the car had fuel injection or a carb or catalytic converter, depending on what power output the 1.6 got. The one on a carb was about 86 horsepower. Later ones with fuel injection and sometimes also a catalytic converter, they either had 76 horsepower or they had 90 horsepower. I think the automatic version also had a slightly different power output from the manual ones. This is the 1.8, which was not sold, I don't think, beyond about 1992 because of Euro 1 emissions regulations, which required cars to either have a cat or fuel injection, and most of the time every car had a cat pretty much, and this was never available with one. So what they did instead was actually just fit a larger engine. This has 110 horsepower. The 2 litre, which came after this, had 115 horsepower. There are also some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. What we do talk about is the way that this car drives, and it's actually quite nice. There's a little bit of creaking from this dash, but the dash is 32 years old, and if you were a plastic dash from 1990, you'd probably be creaking at 32 years old as well. The engine feels pretty good. It's got a twin cam head on it, and it feels really willing. Brakes feel good. Gearbox is quite nice as well, actually. Mind you, this car's only done 59,000 miles, so that might help. Feels fast enough, and the steering's quite direct. Driving position's reasonably good. It does sort of crash a bit over some of these bumps, but then again, this is quite a bumpy road, and it's a very old car, so it's not really a surprise. In addition to this amazing sort of instrument cluster, I've also got economy and power mode as well. Apparently I'm in economy, which is good. I like being in economy, viewers. Most of you like power mode, but afraid we drive moderately on this channel. That's just the way that it goes. I quite like the styling of this, viewers. It does remind me of the earlier Fiat Regatta, but just updated a little bit. And of course, in many ways it is. It's based on the Tipo, and it's a longer saloon version of that, so not really much of a surprise. It's a very early Tempra, this one. It was made in 1990, which is the year that they came out. Same year, I think, that Chris Goffey drove one of these on Top Gear. And before you say Mr. Richardson from Furious Driving, he's driven an estate one of these, an SW. Yes, I know. Mr. Bushby, who owns this car, actually helped him with some of the content of that review. So that'll be why he was able to sort of find that and things. So we get up here. I don't know why these lights are on, viewers. It's really, really bizarre. I can't seem to actually turn them off at the moment. Maybe that's just Fiat Electrics, or it's just something I'm missing. I don't really know. Original dealer sticker up there. This car came from Keswick originally. Spent a lot of time in Scotland apparently. So if we open the boot, that is a big space actually. It's a very, very big space for all kinds of stuff. Regularly goes to shows this car, and there's lots of show paraphernalia in here. It's one of these kind of 90s generation of saloons where the boot rose quite considerably up here. My Row 45 V6 is an example of that too. That car was designed in the early 90s. Door handles will be very familiar to anybody who's ever driven a T-Pow, of course. Look at this condition, dears. Just amazing. Beautiful condition. Nice hard-wearing tweed style fabric. It's really comfortable. Reminds me a bit of an Alpha 90 actually. And before you go saying to me, an Alpha 90? What's an Alpha 90? It's a car made between 84 and 87 by Alpha, based on the platform so it's before the 75, but it's actually an Alfita underneath. And they seem to be sort of common for this kind of nice fabric, and also nice rear armrest, massive rear armrest actually in here. In fact, the seats are nice and squashy and comfortable. That's very nice. The rear headroom's a little bit limited, but it's not too bad. And do we have these? Oh my gosh, those grab handles! Wow, bit stern there. Electric windows. I think the way to get them is here. And so I've got the key in my hand here, viewers. Oh, these ones don't operate without the key. I think we'll try the front one, so these might be locked or something. Ashtrays in down here because it's an Italian car from the 1990s. Corsi ashtrays. Weirdly, no mat pockets on the back of the seats. That's strange. We do have those centre armrests for the driver probably, although I wouldn't use that for myself. And rear compartment heating and ventilation. That's rather nice. Quite like this, viewers. I'm enjoying this. Oh, a blind back here as well. Yes. More and more luxury everywhere we look. Rear door is surprisingly long on that. It's quite easy to get in and out. But the front's really where we want to be, viewers. And yes, please, a Digidash. Let's have a look at the heating ventilation for that, though. It's actually a climate control system with no aircon. The aircon button's here, but there's just no aircon. Why? Viewers, not impressed. Right, anyway, we have the bizarre stalks that are shared, I think, with the Alpha 145, because they've reheated windows on the end of there. Obviously, the 145 is related to the platform that this Tempra sits on. Wipers there, lights on there, fog lights on the end of there. And there we go, we got all the heater controls here. Air, I think that's a fan speed. This reminds me of the Apple Newton, this stuff. It's a rubbery early 90s plastic that it's going to come off in my hand if I'm not careful. I better not touch it too much. Ashtray there, cigarette lighter, JVC stereo, original stereo for this car, I think that would have been. 5-speed manual gearbox. you could get a selector auto with a 1.6 engine. There's the electric mirror switch. That's for the window switch, I think. To see if we can operate the windows in the back without the key. No, let's try the front ones, and I'll have to pull the door to me for that. So centre console in here for all your tapes. Ooh, excellent. 36 driving classics. Coin holder down here. Normal handbrake. Got adjustment for the steering column. Actually, got telescopic adjustment. That's quite fancy. And up here we've got trip meter things. I'll have to maybe close this door and turn the car on so we can have a look at the digi-dash and other things. Mr. Bushby told me that I can operate these windows without the key in. It doesn't look like I can. There was a recall done on the T-Pose back in the day because a child managed to kill himself closing a window. We didn't have the key in the ignition, so this car's clearly been sorted out. That's safer, really, isn't it? Right, let's just pause a second and I'll put the key in and we can have a look at the digi-dash. Oh, viewers, look at this. That is the correct time. We are driving economically. Electronic check is on there. I might switch hands in a second and just see if that lights up if I start her. But we've got the mileage there. You can actually change it between miles and kilometers if you want. There's the trip meter. I think actually that's for the front fog lights up there as well. That's a thing. Actually, we can just reach through here and see what that light does there. I don't know what that does. It doesn't even do anything. Let's see if we can switch from miles to kilometers. Yes, we can. Look at that. Fantastic. So yeah, there's the temperature at the moment. That's the fan speed. There we go. As you can see, no aircon. Right, I'll just have to switch hands. I'll leave the other one to operate the key and see if this electronic and check panel actually illuminates anything. In order to take out the key, you have to press in this little thing here. It's like a K10 micro or something like that, so you have to do that. For some reason, I seem to put the lights on. I don't really know why it's doing that. It's probably got some follow me home setting or something, but yeah, if I put this in and switch the car on, that electronic check panel doesn't do anything, so never mind. I was going to put the Secret Rich Dogs in the glove box, but I don't think it's going to fit in there, viewers, and I can tell you why. We've got too many classic rock and Kiss and other cassettes in there for it to happen. But if we just close that for a second and put it into the door, and we can see that fits quite neatly. And Mr. Richardson would be having lots of fun because we've got T-shelves and other stuff. So pre-facelift cars like this don't have driver's airbags. I think the later ones might have done. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember at the moment. Don't quote me on that. Right, I think it's time to go and have a look at the engine. So here we have the 1.8 engine. I believe this is a twin cam unit which develops 110 horsepower. These lights are still on, viewers. But yeah, reasonably easy to work on, I think. The gearbox is just down there. I just can't believe the condition of this car. It's just absolutely ridiculous considering how few Tempras there are left. I think it's like low double digits of Tempras that are left now. You just don't see them at all. It's very nice with these alloy wheels as well. Right, viewers, I think it's time to go for another drive. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. So the Tempra was facelifted in about 1993, and It wasn't really a big seller in this country, I don't think, particularly. It's just not the sort of car that would have been. Nevertheless, I do like it. Trim levels available were L or base, it depends actually what country the car was in. S, SX, like this one. SLX and Eleganza. I don't know if the Eleganza came with more equipment than this, but if it did, yes, please, viewers, we like luxury models and luxury motoring. The wipers are really weird in this car. It is currently raining a little bit, and the wipers are going really fast for reasons I don't quite understand. Never mind though. Certainly, I very much enjoyed this car. I think possibly I haven't got the steering wheel in quite the right position. I haven't been fiddling around with the telescopic adjustment too much. But yes, I seem to have enjoyed myself even more than I anticipated. Let's talk about the other cars that are on the Type 2 and Type 3 platforms, shall we? So the Type 2 was the Tipo and the Alpha 145 and 146, the Alpha 916 Spider and GTV, so you've had one of those on my channel as well, the Lancia Delta and the Fiat Coupe. Again, we've had one of those on my channel too. Missing would be the Lancia Dedra and the Alpha 155. I would like to drive an Alpha 155 and the Lancia Dedra. Dedra is probably a bit more difficult than 155. So viewers, should you consider a Fiat Tempra with your hard-earned budget of between £1,000 and £5,000 as a sensible second-hand classic? Well, it's going to depend on whether or not you can actually find one of these. Back in the day, these weren't known for the reliability of the electrics. I think the body was reasonably well protected, but obviously it's a very old car now. They do rust, and you've got to keep up with the maintenance of the engines and things like that. So the chance of finding one is quite low, I'm afraid. Mr. Richardson and I, probably the only people in this country in the last 15 years who've actually done a review of one of these cars. But yes, I have very much enjoyed myself, as I expected that I would. I hope you have too. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching this episode of Sensible Secondhand Classics. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video and leave a comment below. And we shall see you again soon for more reasonably priced nostalgic motoring.